If you watched my previous video, you'll know that I installed the RaceChip GTS unit on my C180. And the idea behind that unit is that it increases the power and it increases the torque. And I definitely felt a difference with that unit, but I have to say that difference feels more sort of mid-range to me. So for example, once the car has already gained some momentum, you're driving at 40-50 miles an hour, then you plant your foot down, you notice the extra power and the extra torque of the RaceChip unit. Where it doesn't help is where you're, let's say, stopped at a traffic light. The traffic light goes green, you plant your foot down, and there's just this initial sort of hesitation. The car does move forward, but it's a little bit slow. Now, the RaceChip GTS unit isn't really about improving the throttle response. It's just about helping the car to produce more power and more torque, and it does that by simply dialing up the turbo boost pressure. Now that's great, sort of mid-range to high range, but when you're stopped at traffic light, when you want more low-range power or a faster low-range response, the RaceChip GTS unit doesn't seem to really make any difference. Now that's where this unit comes in, the RaceChip XLR. This connects to your gas pedal and it supposedly makes your throttle response faster. So in this video we're going to be unboxing it, installing it in the car, and then we'll do a before and after comparison. So nice box. This is what you get. Okay, whatever, very simple. Okay, so here is the RaceChip XLR unit. You have the little control pad here that you can mount using a sticky tape. And you have different modes, so we have Eco Plus, Eco, Neutral or Normal, Sport, Sport Plus, Race and Race Plus. So I think I'm probably just going to put it in Sport Plus, but we'll see. And it just connects via this little connector here. And then you get this box, so this connects to the actual gas pedal. It's got a connection here for this, this controller. And it's pretty small, pretty light. You can just tuck this away, and this is what will supposedly help with the throttle response. Now, if you don't want to install this, perhaps you don't like the look of this or whatever, you can just use the RaceChip app, but that's an optional extra. You have to pay a little bit more, and if you do, then this will come with built-in Bluetooth, so you can connect this to the RaceChip app on your iOS or Android device. Right, so what else do we get in the box? Well, I believe here we have something that we can open. So, we have some zip ties, some holders here. So these clips just hold this wire in place. That's about it, really. Okay. And then finally we get the car-specific installation manual, and this just tells you everything you need to know. It's really a very straightforward installation. You see it you just disconnect the gas pedal. There's a wire there, you just insert that wire, and that's about it. It's pretty straightforward. But anyhow, this is the unit. This is the unit itself. Looks pretty good. So let's install this on the car and see if it makes any difference whatsoever. I really like this controller, I have to say. It's got little LED lights that change color depending on which mode you're in. It does say in the instructions that you shouldn't change the mode while the car is accelerating or decelerating. So perhaps you should come to a stop and then change the mode, but nevertheless it's useful to have this in the car. Sometimes you want it in Race Plus when you want to drive fast, sometimes perhaps you want to just put it in neutral, which basically just puts it in stock form when you just want to go for a cruise or you're on a motorway or something. But yeah, let's get this installed and see what it's like. Alright, so welcome to the first part of the installation. So the first thing we need to do is to install the main brain box. and then after that we can install the controller. I'm thinking of installing this around here or maybe up there, somewhere up there. Okay, so in order to install this brain box unit, we have to be able to connect this these wires to the gas pedal, and in order to do that we need to open this gas pedal, or just remove it from here. So we need to open those two screws there. I think you need like a 15mm socket to open it. I don't have that, so I'm just using this, but yeah, just open those two and this should just come right out. Alright, so I've taken those off, so now this should just come right out. And well, it does. So that's kind of cool. So now we've got to remove this connector, and then we can connect in the this unit. So one of these connectors will connect to the wire that comes off here, and the other connector will connect to the gas pedal connector here. Alright, so I've taken the gas pedal out. This may be a good opportunity to use a vacuum cleaner and just clean out these just bits of dirt that get hidden underneath the gas pedal. So I might just do that, clean up this area. But before I do that, just brought my gas pedal up here. So it's quite interesting to see it here. But as you can see, I've had this car for nearly 3 years now. So it's starting to wear out up here a bit. It's getting a bit dirty. This bottom bit here is quite dirty, so what I'm going to do first is clean the gas pedal, then clean the bottom section here, and then we'll continue. Alright, so for the next part of this installation, we have to connect the main RaceChip units to the gas pedal and to this connector here. So you notice when you have a look at this, the wires provided, one says A and the other says B. So A gets connected to your gas pedal here, and B gets connected to the connector down here. Alright, so you can see that is properly connected, and this grey tab is being pushed back in place. So that connects to B. Alright, so now connect connector A to the gas pedal. Should hear a click. Alright, so that's connected. So now let's put the gas pedal back in place and put the two screws back in place as well. And then we have to put this unit, this RaceChip unit, somewhere up there. And the box obviously provides zip ties and a few other things that we can use to keep this unit in place. Alright, so now the connectors are all in place, and the gas pedal and the two little bolts there are back in place as well. So now what we need to do is hide all of this behind the floor mat there, and then we've got the controller here, which I originally was thinking of placing up here, but that's just not going to be feasible in my case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the wire for the controller underneath the floor mat over there, and then bring it out just under here, and then I'm going to put the controller up here, and that will be kind of cool as well, because it will be a bit like a sort of an AMG model, you know, where you have the little toggle switch for the sport mode or sport plus or whatever it is. So that's going to be kind of nice as well. So I just want to show you the controller as well. So I've got it plugged in, and I've got the car powered on. So you see we're in neutral or normal mode. If we just change this, see it changes the LED light. It's kind of nice. And you can go through the different modes. So you've got Eco Plus, Eco, Neutral, Sport Plus, Race, and Race Plus. So we'll leave it in neutral to begin with, and then we'll try it out. So the instructions say that you should place this RaceChip unit up here, and it has some there are some sort of Velcro strips that you can use that that comes provided in the box that you can use to stick it in place. And that's, of course, that's what's illustrated here. But I was speaking to a YouTuber friend called Raymond. He was saying that if I install the RaceChip unit here and the cable comes in front here, it's quite dangerous. It's quite close to the brake pedal, and that's not really a good idea. So what he recommended was that I tuck the whole unit and any extra wiring behind the floor mat. So if we try and open that, you can see I can just tuck it behind there, including any extra wiring. So the wire goes behind the gas pedal and it just goes behind that floor mat. And then as for this controller, again, the wire would be underneath the floor mat the entire way. So even behind this park brake pedal. So again, it will be behind the floor mat, and it would go all the way up to the sort of center console area there. One thing that's just come to my attention is the connection between this controller and the main RaceChip unit. So this connection here, it's a little bit loose, it's not very strong. So what I'm thinking of is wrapping this whole bit here with Tessa tape. You don't have to do that for this, because this is solid, it's in place, it won't budge. But this connector here is just sort of pathetic, really. I mean, it just a simple little tug and it will come out. So all you need is some Tessa tape, and simply tape around here, maybe around the whole unit, just to make sure it stays in place. Okay, so I've opened up this carpet area here, and I've run the cable for the little control pad thing just through there, and running it back through here. Now for this bit, obviously I've got to get the cable to the unit itself, and as you can see, I've done that. I've connected it, and I've used some Tessa tape to ensure that the connector stays in place, because the connection for the control pad isn't particularly strong, so it can sort of come out pretty easily. So just tape it in place, make sure it's connected properly. Now the problem here is getting this cable in properly. So the main unit is going to be behind that carpet area there, and that's fine, but getting that cable from there to back there is a little tricky. Okay, so here is the end result. The cable goes from the gas pedal up there underneath that panel. This is the cable for the which is connected to the main RaceChip unit. That then goes underneath there, and the unit is hidden behind that carpet area just there, and the cable for the control pad is also connected. And much to my own surprise, I've actually managed to hide the entire cable for the control pad underneath the carpet. So it goes from the control pad there, in between that little groove area there, goes behind the carpet there, behind the carpet, and you can see the cable about there, you can see it, but it's behind the carpet, and then it goes back there, and that's where the RaceChip unit is. So the cable is connected there. Okay, so here is the end result. As you can see, the cable comes out there. I've used two of the supplied cable connectors just to hold it in place there, and then it just comes up, and I've used one of the circular sticky pads. This is all just 3M tape, I believe. So anyhow, I just put that behind there, and then it just sticks in place, and it's very strong, it's very durable. So that's nice. Now I'm sure you can probably come up with a more sort of creative solution, perhaps a better solution. Perhaps you could put it up there or something, I don't know, but this is what I've done. So, you know, it's all right. I wouldn't say it looks brilliant, to be honest. Perhaps it is better just to pay the extra fee and get the app control, so you don't have this control pad thing here at all. But I don't know, I kind of like it. Perhaps these two cable clip things, perhaps they don't look particularly good, but I don't think the control pad looks too bad. and it gives you quick access to all the different modes. So Eco Plus, Eco, Neutral, Sport, Sport Plus, Race, and Race Plus. So let's put the ignition on. Yes, there we go. You can see that the unit lights up. Very nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm on my way to the shops. I need to buy. I'm going to buy like a t-shirt and a few things like that. So I thought since I'm going to have to drive past a few roundabouts and junctions and things like that, I thought this would be a useful real-world test for the RaceChip XLR unit, and we'll see how this car responds. For most of this journey, I'm probably going to be limited to, the speed limit's about 40 miles per hour, so don't expect too much, but where I can, I'll try and put my foot down a little bit, and we'll see how this goes. But so far, I've got the RaceChip unit in Race Plus, so it's high setting, and I've got my car in sport mode, so it shifts automatically, but it shifts a little bit faster than it normally would. And I got to tell you, it's pretty good. Look at this. Yeah, there you go. Again, I can't really push the car too much because of the speed limits, but it does react fairly quickly. I tell you what the biggest difference is in terms of what you experience. The car just feels, or the gas pedal especially, feels a lot lighter. So if you put the RaceChip unit in its most eco setting, which is Eco Plus, or in fact if you put it in neutral or normal, which is basically putting the car back in stop form, if you do that, the gas pedal feels so heavy. It's like it does respond, but it just responds slower. And now that I have the car in Race Plus mode, I can't really take out that mode like ever. I pretty much always just leave it in Race Plus, and I put the car's own settings in Sport, and that just makes for a combination that makes the car feel light. It feels nimble. It feels kind of like kind of like a go-kart. It's pretty good. So we're on a 50-mile-an-hour road here, and it's great. It gets up to speed pretty quickly. Obviously, there's a fair bit of traffic here, so I can't really put my foot down too much, but it feels really good. The car responds very nicely. And one thing about this RaceChip XLR unit, it's not about improving acceleration times or that's where the RaceChip GTS unit comes in, because obviously I've got that installed as well if you watched my previous video. So these two units work together really nicely. The RaceChip XLR unit gives you faster throttle response, and the RaceChip GTS unit, once the turbo really kicks in, it then gives you the extra turbo boost, which equates to more power and more torque. So RaceChip XLR gets you going faster, and then from a standstill, and then the GTS unit just helps you to accelerate faster than you normally would, or reach a higher top speed. Perhaps not in this case though, because it hasn't increased the power too much, but it has increased the torque a fair bit, so that's good. Alright, so I've got to a car park now. I don't think there's much point really showing you what it's like here. I mean, it's a car park. I don't think throttle response matters that much. So I'm gonna end this part of the video here, do my shopping, come back, and then we'll continue the test. Alright guys, I'm back, and so let's continue the rest of the drive and see how this goes. So car is in sport mode, and RaceChip is in Race Plus mode as usual. Yeah, so one thing I would say is that in parking lots you might actually want to put it down to maybe sport mode, or even just put it in the stock, the neutral mode. It's a bit perhaps it's a bit too fast in for sort of very slow driving conditions. So parking lots, or you're on someone's driveway or something and you're trying to reverse in and out, probably putting the car back in stock is good enough really. But apart from that, any other time, just keep in Race Plus, because you want that extra punch, that extra the improved throttle response. So I mean, I'm not sure how well this is coming off on camera, but let me tell you, the car just feels much faster. Or it gives you the illusion that the car's much faster. I mean, obviously we know the RaceChip XLR unit doesn't actually increase the power or torque, but just having that improved response really helps. I mean, look, I'm here at a roundabout, and I can... There we go. So you can get to the speed limit so much quicker. Well, that's thanks to the RaceChip GTS units, but you can get going much quicker than you could before. And so let's check this out. Here we go. Wow, it's really quite fast. I wish the speed limits were 60 miles an hour everywhere, so I could properly show you what this is capable of, but there you go. With ease, you get going with ease, and then the RaceChip GTS unit takes over once the turbo gets going, and you get extra turbo boost. It just feels. So let's give this a go. Firstly, from initial complete standstill. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. So there we go, to 60. So that's with the RaceChip XLR in Race Plus, the car in sport mode, and the RaceChip GTS unit in mapping option number 7. So it's pretty quick. You do still get a little bit of initial lag, as I said. That's a hardware issue of the turbo. The turbo, it takes a little while to spool up. That's not really something you can fix with software, but it has improved. It has improved though. The initial lag has improved a bit, and just in general, when you're driving at speed and you put your foot down. So I mean, let's bring it down a bit. Now if I put my foot down, yeah. So the car responds quicker. It really does. I'm not sure how well that's coming off on video. I mean, I'm trying my best to show you what it's like, but it does respond quicker now. I'm going to put the car in manual mode now, and I'm going to show you a little bit what it's like to drive manually with this RaceChip XLR unit. So let's come down to slow it down a bit, and let's drop it down. You see? Can you? I'm not sure if you can see that, but you see how I'm pressing the gas pedal, and the car is responding a lot quicker than it normally would. Yeah, it's good. It's a nice improvement. It's a nice improvement. again, it's not, you know, if you're expecting this RaceChip XLR to make the throttle response as fast as a naturally aspirated or a supercharged engine, then that's simply not going to happen. But there is another modification which I'm looking into, which is called a diverter valve, and that can supposedly help reduce turbo lag somewhat. Yeah, but you can see it. The car responds pretty quickly. You know what? I'm going to put it back in sport mode because it just shifts much better than I can. So may as well just leave it in auto. All right, look at this. Wow. I'm just gently tapping the gas pedal now. Can you see that? Just for demonstration purposes. I hope you can see that. I mean, I'm not sure how well the camera I've got in the footwell is picking up the gas pedal and the brake pedal, but the car responds quicker. Definitely responds quicker. All right, here we go. Okay, let's give this another go. Alright, from a standstill again. So, here we go. Sport mode. Yeah, I mean that's pretty quick, you know, it's pretty nippy. Remember, this is a C180. It's at the very bottom of the C-class range. So yeah, that's pretty good. It's definitely faster than stock. I'm not gonna. I don't think it's like. Don't expect, you know, like a ridiculous improvement. I mean, it's a little bit faster. It's a little bit more nippy, and the gas pedal as a result just feels lighter, if that even makes sense. But that's what it feels like. So let's do another test. So here we go. I'm impressed. It's more apparent, I think, around town, especially when you're at a roundabout and you're trying to pull out the roundabout, or you know, you just join the main road and you've got to get up to, let's say, 50 miles an hour or 45 or thereabouts. Yeah, in those kind of cases, it's definitely there's definitely an improvement, and it's helpful. It's really helpful. So what I've found is that in everyday driving, even in situations where there's a fair bit of traffic, I feel like you know, I'm a little more confident. So I kind of feel like I can just quickly go, whereas before I couldn't. I had to wait for longer, and I had to wait for more cars to pass, and so it was just a bit annoying. So now we're going to do, it's sort of a rolling start, if you like. So from 30 miles an hour. Yeah, so what let it down there was the gearbox, not the turbo, not the RaceChip unit. It was definitely the gearbox. So this car's the old 7G-tronic gearbox, and one thing about this gearbox is that when you shift down, it has to go down through every gear. It can't just go down from I don't know, let's say 6th down to 4th. It goes 6th, 5th, 4th. So as a result, shifting can be pretty slow. So we'll perhaps try that again, but at a slightly higher speed, or perhaps I'll do it in manual mode so that it doesn't have to shift down. So here you see, it really does shift pretty quickly. think perhaps keeping the car in manual mode is better so that you don't have the delay of the gearbox, because you have complete control of the gears. Check this out, look. Yeah, it responds pretty quickly, it really does. Yeah, it's so much more fun, it's so much more fun. Alright, so here we go. Alright, so we've got a cyclist up ahead, so kind of an everyday situation, so let's see how it responds here. Can't really overtake on a corner, so let's wait for this. Come on. Yeah, that was pretty quick, pretty quick. Okay, so we're going up from a 40 mile an hour speed limit to 60, so let's try this out. Okay, and that was in a sort of higher gear, but it still responded pretty quickly. That's the main point.